Did you know there's one question that can seal your approval or define your rejection in the selection process for flight attendants at any airline in the world? This question is, why do you want to be a flight attendant for our company? Hello, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez. I've been a recruiter and selector for 28 years with extensive experience in airlines worldwide. Currently, I provide training for recruiters from 43 airlines spread across the globe. And I'm going to tell you in part A of the video what you have to do well on this question so you can nail it. Why do you want to be a flight attendant for our company? And in part B of the video, I'll tell you what usually causes candidates to fail. So pay close attention. What should you do? Let's go. In your answer should be at most 3 minutes long. At most 3 minutes, and you're going to use the first, second, and third place technique. All right? So I'll give an example. I'm participating in a selection for Delta Airlines. And then they ask me, why do you want to be a flight attendant for our company? So I'll use a technique. I'll say, look, there are three very strong factors that make me want to be a Delta attendant. The first one is, then I mention a first factor, something in my behavior that relates to the company's flag, to the company's values. Then I say, a second reason is, and then you bring a second reason and a third. The first, second, and third place technique, it's very useful when you're going to answer this. Obviously, bring reasons that highlight your personality, reasons that connect you to the company, the way it thinks, the way it sees the world, things, okay? And obviously, a third point, bring up things that the company values, all right? So let's suppose I'm at Lufthansa now, and Lufthansa highly values the issue of resource optimization and sustainability. And I can easily mention something about that in my answer. Look, I want to be a Lufthansa attendant for three reasons. First of all, I'm a person who is very concerned about the planet's issues. And I see that the planet today is getting worse and worse in climatic terms. And since I have this concern, Lufthansa does too. This is one of the reasons why I want to be an attendant at Lufthansa. A second point is, and then I bring a second and a third, your answer becomes well constructed, well linked to the company's values, and it certainly works out. Okay, let's go to the second tip now. Remember, part A of the video, what to do, part B, what not to do. All right? Second part, look for 10 words that summarize that company before the interview. All right? So, for example, I'm participating in a selection for Qantas Airways, the Australian one. I did some research and noticed they have a strong connection to flight safety and the welcoming spirit of Australia, meaning hospitality above all else for their customers and passengers. So, when I have these words, I'll pick 10 words by looking at the company's Instagram, their social media, and their website. Choose 10 and memorize 3 so that you can subtly use them during the interview. Not to say you studied, for example, Qantas Airways, but to make it clear that you want to be a flight attendant for that specific airline and that you truly know them. For example, I want to be a Qantas flight attendant because I'm a very welcoming and pleasant person. I enjoy talking to people and making them feel welcome, and that really connects me to the company. And that is why I want to be a flight attendant for Qantas Airways. I link my personality to the company. Let's move on to the third tip, but first I'm going to give you a very important piece of advice. There are 50 common mistakes that usually disqualify flight attendant candidates at various airlines all around the world. Mistakes in the interview, in group activities, in the virtual stages, or in the registration process. You simply cannot afford to make these mistakes. And based on my experience, I've cataloged these 50 mistakes into an ebook. This ebook being advertised here is linked in the first comment and also in the video description, all right? Go ahead and click it and check out the ebook so that you don't miss the chance to literally let your career take off because of some silly or minor mistake. Third tip, let's go. It's very important when they ask why you want to be a flight attendant for their company that you highlight a unique trait of your personality. or a professional background that you believe will be useful as well. That's another way to answer. So I could say, look, when the question comes, why do I want to be a flight attendant for this airline? I can say, I know you need excellent people who are true team players. At the last restaurant where I worked, I was frequently praised for my teamwork and for providing great service, and I believe I can bring those skills to this company, for example, Emirates, and I know you value that highly. And I'm sure it will be a great fit both for you in hiring me and for me, as I'll quickly adapt to the company culture. Trying to mention a professional achievement is also important. Now, let's move on to part B. Part B, what should you avoid doing? Giving generic answers that recruiters hear from every single candidate. Don't do that, okay? Why do you want to be a flight attendant for our company? Because it's the best company in the world, because it's the best company in the United States, because it's the fastest growing company. Look, recruiters are literally tired of hearing that. It's a very generic mistake, and it's gonna get in your way, okay? Second mistake, forced answers. In other words, dishonest answers, answers that don't make sense. Like I mentioned about Lufthansa, I'm not that concerned, for example, with environmental issues. I am, okay? But for example, as a candidate, I'm not that person who's worrying a lot about global warming, right? My life doesn't revolve around that. And then I say, look, I want to work here at this company because it really values global issues and global warming and the planet and ecology, and that's why I'm here. And I know this is going to work out great. You're not like that. Then the recruiter asks me, that's cool, tell me about projects you've developed or participated in that are related to sustainability issues and a focus on global warming, on reducing global warming. And then you're stuck. You don't know. So be careful not to push it like that. Now, I'm going to tell you the two mistakes that cause the most rejections. Before I go on, if you want mentoring here from Flight Deck Briefing, in other words, if you want to train live and online for any stage of your selection process, any stage, with the world's largest airlines, we serve more than 45 airlines around the world. So we can help you with that. You're going to click on the first link in the description and also in the first comment, okay? The website is www.flydeckbriefing.com. There you'll see the plans, the mentoring plans, 1 session, 3 sessions, 5 sessions, 7 sessions, always personalized according to your selection process, according to your needs. You have the option to schedule it right there. Then you make the payment through Hotmart, which is 100% secure, okay? Anyway, it's a payment platform accepted in more than, I think, 90 countries, all right? With clear refund policies. And you'll receive the links to be able to do the live and online mentoring sessions, okay? And another option, if you don't want to schedule it that way, you can schedule it through WhatsApp. I've left my WhatsApp down here in the first comment and in the description. You can message me and we'll set up the mentoring session. Those are the options for you. 2 more mistakes that cause a lot of rejections. Making it clear that you're trying for any company, you're submitting your resume to any company at any cost. That's not good either, okay? Show a focus, some evidence within that company. Why do you want to be a flight attendant for our company? Oh, I want to be, then you explain, and then the recruiter doesn't feel much confidence in your answer. Have you participated in other selections? Yeah, I applied to Air France, Air Canada. I also applied to TAP, the Portuguese airline, and I'm looking for my spot. So, I mean, you could even participate, but how can I put it? Focus on the company you're with at that moment. This is a very serious mistake as well. And a fourth mistake is when the person is asked about why they want to be a flight attendant for that specific company. And they end up talking about their weaknesses, their areas for improvement, without being asked about that. It also happens, and I see many candidates failing because of it, and I'm sorry. So you only talk about weaknesses in the specific question about that. By the way, in the face-to-face interview, which can be virtual or in person, this is one of the questions that fails the most. And I've left a complete tutorial for you to pass any face-to-face interview. with the main questions that are asked. This tutorial's right here. Go watch it now and everything will work out. Excellent preparation. Best regards and see you later. Bye.